A young woman walked into her kitchen one morning with her heart heavy and her spirit broken. Life had been throwing her challenges one after another, and no matter how much she tried, she felt like she was drowning in her struggles. She sat at the table with her head resting on her arms, whispering to herself that she was tired of fighting. Her father, an old and wise man who had weathered many storms in his own life, noticed her pain and quietly decided to teach her something that words alone could not express. Without saying much, he stood up and walked to the stove. The woman watched him with tired eyes, wondering what he was doing. He filled 3 pots with water and placed them on the burners, lighting each one. She didn't ask questions, too weary to care. After the water began to boil, he reached into the pantry and placed a carrot in the first pot, an egg in the second, and a handful of ground coffee beans in the third. He let them sit and boil silently while his daughter shifted uncomfortably, waiting. After 20 minutes, he turned off the burners. He pulled the carrot from the first pot and placed it in a bowl. He then took the egg out and set it in another. Finally, he poured the coffee into a cup. Looking at his daughter, he asked softly, "Tell me, what do you see?" She glanced at the 3 bowls and shrugged. "A carrot, an egg, and coffee," she replied. Her father smiled gently. "Look closer. Each of these things faced the same adversity, boiling water, but each reacted differently." He picked up the carrot and pressed it with a spoon. This carrot went in strong, hard, and unrelenting, but after being boiled, it became soft and weak. It lost its strength. He placed it back down and picked up the egg. This egg was fragile. Its shell protected a liquid inside, but after being boiled, the inside became hardened. It turned stiff even though the shell looked the same. Then he lifted the cup of coffee and handed it to her. She sipped it, surprised by the warm, rich taste. Her father's eyes twinkled. The coffee beans were different. They faced the same boiling water, but instead of being changed by it, they transformed the water itself. They created something new, something better. The young woman sat in silence, her mind spinning as his words sank in. She thought about her struggles, the betrayals she had endured, the setbacks in her career, the loneliness that sometimes swallowed her, and the weight of her own doubts. She realized that in the face of adversity, she often reacted like the carrot, appearing strong but crumbling under pressure. Other times she hardened like the egg, shutting herself off from the world, hiding her vulnerability behind a shell of bitterness. Her father leaned closer and asked her a question that would stay with her forever. "When life gets tough, my child, when the boiling waters of struggle surround you, what will you be? A carrot, an egg, or coffee?" Tears filled her eyes, not of sorrow this time, but of awakening. She finally understood what he meant. Life's struggles were inevitable. They were the boiling water everyone must face. The question was not whether hardship would come, but how one would respond to it. That night she couldn't sleep. She replayed the lesson over and over in her mind. She thought of the people she had seen in her life, the ones who had given up when things got hard, who wilted like carrots, losing their will to fight. She thought of those who had grown cold and distant, who let hardships turn them bitter and untrusting, like the hardened egg. And then she thought of a few rare individuals who had faced unimaginable trials, yet seemed to emerge stronger, radiating warmth and inspiration. They had become like the coffee, turning their struggles into a source of strength not just for themselves, but for others as well. She realized that her father had been one of those rare people. He had lost his job once, but instead of giving up, he started his own small business and provided for the family. He had been betrayed by friends, yet he still treated others with kindness. He had faced sickness, but he fought with faith and patience. He didn't let adversity break him. He transformed it into wisdom and resilience. Over the following weeks, the young woman began to change. Whenever life pushed her to the edge, she remembered the boiling water and asked herself, "Am I reacting like the carrot, the egg, or the coffee?" She chose to be the coffee. When she was criticized at work, instead of crumbling or hardening, she used it to improve her skills. When her relationship fell apart, she didn't let bitterness consume her. Instead, she learned self-love and patience, becoming stronger in the process. When she encountered others who were struggling, she shared her father's lesson. reminding them of the power to transform pain into purpose. One day, years later, she sat with her own child at the kitchen table. The boy had tears in his eyes, overwhelmed by school and the cruelty of classmates. She listened quietly, her heart aching, but then she smiled gently. She walked to the stove, filled 3 pots with water and placed a carrot in one, an egg in the second and coffee beans in the third. As the water boiled and the lesson unfolded again, she saw the same confusion in her son's eyes that she once had, and when she finally asked, "What will you be, a carrot, an egg, or coffee?" she knew she was passing on more than words. She was passing on a way of life. The world is full of boiling waters: loss, failure, rejection, fear, uncertainty. Everyone must step into them at some point. But within those moments lies a choice. You can become soft and lose your courage, like the carrot. You can become hardened and bitter like the egg. Or you can become the coffee, embracing the struggle and using it to create something richer, stronger, and more beautiful than before. Her father's lesson lived on, not just in her heart, but in the lives she touched, in the people who heard the story and began to see their struggles differently. And so the boiling water, once seen as an enemy, became a reminder of resilience, of transformation, and of the power within each soul to rise above. Life is never easy, but in every challenge, there is an opportunity to choose. And once you realize you have that power, struggles stop being the end of your strength and become the beginning of your greatest transformation. In the end, when the world turns up the heat, the real question remains: will you let it break you, harden you, or will you, like the coffee, change the water itself and leave behind a fragrance of hope and strength for others to follow?